Live. What today is March 8th, Tuesday. Just got off a coaching call and I just want to give some feedback. I think every time as a coach, when you speak to business owners, I get great insight on what people are struggling with. And what we went over today was setting them up inside the system, but more importantly, like actions that matter. Like what are your daily, ATMs that you take inside your business? I'm a big proponent of systems, a big proponent of discipline, a big proponent of having a clear vision and having plans that can hold not only you accountable, but also cast as a vision for your organization. So if you're a business owner or if you're a CEO, this one is for you. And I really want to communicate to you what actually should you be focused on inside your business. I think most times, if we're a small business owner, you know how to do a certain task. You're very proficient at it. You're good at it. Maybe you've been in business and you worked for someone else and you feel like, I want to do this on my own. We always tend to think the grass is always greener being a business owner. And a lot of times it is. It's kind of like you eat what you kill. However, it comes with a lot of responsibility. It comes with a lot of responsibility. If I'm being honest, I don't know if any of us have been properly trained for those responsibilities. There's no CEO class in college. There's no CEO class. Definitely not in middle school. Show of hands, if you're in here right now, if you ever went to a CEO class before, or you saw something like that, probably not. But it's okay because now the great thing and the beautiful thing about we're in this information age, Web 3.0, if you will, and there's so much data that's shared now, and there's so many opportunities for us to learn and develop that skill. Because leadership, I believe, is a skill that needs to get developed, and not only developed, it needs to constantly be retuned. I'm still learning leadership techniques. I've been a leader for the last 20 years or my whole life, right? But I think constantly getting better, understanding that there's still a bunch I don't know and a bunch that I want to learn. But I'm still confident enough that through my experiences, I have a lot of wisdom to share with you. So I want to share with you today in terms of daily actions that matter. One thing that I've noticed in business now, speaking with business owners after I transitions from being a business owner, obviously still speaking, writing books. And if you haven't got shameless plug, if I can find it, Championship Grit. If you got a copy of Championship Grit, please post that inside the chat. You pick it up on Amazon, on my website, GaryBrackett.com. But I think you really want to focus on daily activities. And those daily activities ultimately should lead to a goal. So if you did a strategic plan, you should be very clear on what you need to do on a daily basis to reach those goals. So show of hands in the chat or type strategic plan in the chat if you would need help with a strategic plan. I think I got some tools and resources that I can help you with that. But one thing I want to show you and share with you is here is this 9P framework. That's kind of what I teach from in my Champ CEO program. First, we build the foundation, then we establish your KPIs, and then from there, we can drive sales. Oftentimes, what people want to do is they want to just skip to the sales part, right? I think on the Instagram reel is what, let's skip to the good part. Everyone wants to skip to the good part, right? We're like, where's the easy button at? But unfortunately, there's not an easy button. If there is one, I haven't found it yet. So if you found it, please share with the rest of us. But it's a process, and you got to respect the process. That process starts from the beginning. I know it sounds boring, like establishing your foundation and casting your vision and doing your vision and your mission and your values. And so many often people are like, we could skip past that part. I'm good on that part. I'm like, okay, great. Show them to me. Matter of fact, let me go inside your organization and ask people, do they know what your mission, vision, and values are? It's not whether or not you have them. It's whether or not you use them is the most important piece. So that's what we kind of go over. But I'm gonna get off my soapbox and get into what I want to talk about today. Is that in the part of the course, one of the P's that we talk about is profit, and daily actions that matter as regards to profit. Let me give you some context about it. Is having metrics in place that you can look at daily to figure out where you're at in your business, like a cash flow model, if you will, that really projects where you're going to be at for cash flow. Oftentimes, um, business owners either have monthly P&Ls, quarterly P&Ls, and then and only then do they know how much money they made inside their business. And if that is you, you don't have a business. You have a job. It could be a high paying job, but it's still a job. Like it's not organized, and there's nothing that you could potentially franchise or even sell. And what I've learned from being a franchise executive, I was got certified, been to probably 10, 15 conferences on franchising your business. And I believe everyone's business should be franchised. Not that you should own a franchise, it's different. I believe that your business should be so systematized and your business should be so organized that you should be able to franchise it. And the beautiful thing about franchising is that the model is like you go in the business for yourself, but not by yourself. And not by yourself because there's systems in place, because there's knowledge that's been acquired that has been documented for you to look at, for you to learn from, and for you to accelerate speed, accelerate that curve. And I think Tony Robbins says it all the times with training and coaching and reading education. It really shortens your learning curve from decades down to days. Now, he just says that because he has workshops, and in 3 4 days, very intensive 12-hour workshops that go all day long. Probably takes a little bit longer than that because I realized I got an executive MBA course, and I think we were doing like managerial accounting, and how it worked. It was like, yo, you had to do a certain number of hours. So over like a weekend, we would spend 16 hours in this course. And there's prerequisites. There's things you have to learn to get to that next level. Like show of hands, if anyone had some of these courses in college. But it's difficult because if I'm not grasping the concept, I didn't get it yesterday, and we're 8 hours into this thing, and I don't get it today. So sometimes it just takes time for those things to really develop. But what I would tell you again, don't get discouraged. Like respect the process. And one thing that we went over today on the call was like, yo, what can I be doing better at? And talked about sales and talked about where they're currently at and where they were at last year, and more importantly, vision setting, like where it is they want to go. And it's in their head, and they knew their numbers for me and whatever, but it wasn't written down. And I think one of the best things that we did, and again, like I think people who follow my story, very familiar with obviously the success I had in football, the success I had as an entrepreneur, restaurant business, didn't go to Rail 1 and 2, COVID, what I'm saying, I failed, took it on the chin or whatever. Like I'm never going to hide from my story. And people will use it against you or try to. It like to seem like it makes me weaker, but for me, it made me stronger. So I would never be ashamed of what I went through. But in regards to you and why it matters for you is like, what are you looking at? And one of the big things that I go over in the course is on the profit module. We're talking about establishing your KPI. So what did that dashboard look like? And also trying to get you that weekly have routine meetings, and also looking at your financials, looking at your numbers. And so many people, all right, looking at the sales, that's a part of it, right? But there's also expenses, and there's also fixed and variable costs. So what I'm going to show you now is like a sample P&L, and this is what we kind of used to look at inside of our business. Obviously, 2017, one of our locations. But for every year, we would set a budget. We have budget meetings. Now I'm going to do this. Let me do this. You can see my pretty face. All right, cool. So every year we would have budget meetings, right, where we would set forth the budget for the year. And how we did it was at the end of the year at the corporate office, had a great team, and we would set forth the budgets, and we would give it to the GMs in December, and they would have opportunity to look over the budget and pretty much, fight for, whether this number was too high, too low, because we were going to hold them accountable to the budget and something that we agreed on. So, and there were bonus off of this. So we wanted to make sure it was right. Sometimes we adjusted it. Some unforeseen circumstances would occur, but most times we wouldn't. But the budget, we would look at our sales, and we would look at our first quarter sales, and then we would put in our actual sales. And this is a monthly look. And we also, we switch from quarters. This is the quarter. So we switch from quarters to months, and then from months to periods. And periods inside of a restaurant business was important because 13 periods is 4 weeks. So then we can measure week to week. If you want me to go in more detail about that, I can. But that's pretty much why we did it. So year over year, we were looking at 4 week periods against 4 week periods. And if you look at it months, some weeks has 5 Saturdays a month. And if your biggest day of the week is Saturday, it'd be hard to compare year over year. So I hope you're tracking. But when we did our budget, looking at our numbers, right, we broke down and categorized in every little thing, right? Food sales, beer sales, wine sales, and then we would go into our controllable things we can control. This isn't filled out, and then we would have what percentages that we wanted to look at inside that business. And you might be saying like, dang, that's detailed, like produce, dairy, meat, seafood, dry. That's right. Because I feel like if you have a catch-all number, if this food calls just food, and if there was an issue inside that number, you really couldn't pinpoint where the issue lies because it's all lumped together. So when it was possible, we wanted to break down and get very detailed into what we were looking at inside that business. Same thing with the pour cost. So then if we had an issue in seafood, we knew what the percentages should be based on historical data, based on other stores, and then we would kind of measure against that. But then we would have our total sales. We would have our labor, and labor obviously is both fixed and variable. Fixed with the salaries from your management team, and then variable just with your hourly employees, and then all the way down to our payroll, and then at the end we would have our net income number of what our projected income was that we wanted to make in that period, right? Our EBITDA, earnings before income tax, debt and depreciation. So that's what we had. So we would look at that number. And I think that was so important because when I first began, we were doing monthly P&Ls, and we would meet like the second Tuesday of the month so the P&Ls would be ready, and we would all rip to the back of the P&L just to look at the profit number. And because the profit number, again, was tied to bonuses, it was tied to like how they felt about themselves. However, it was just like if you're in football and the only time you're reviewing the tape is like after the game. You can't make in-game adjustments after the game. In your business, you can't make like adjustments for this current period like next month. It doesn't work that way. So we switched from a monthly P&L to a weekly P&L. And then daily, we could look at where we were at, and we could protect labor rates like early. At the end of the week, that was our peak periods. That was our peak time. So we wanted to be careful that we didn't blow our labor number earlier in the week. And so it really got really good and really detailed in terms of how not only we were more effective, more efficient, we were able to drop our food cost numbers. I was very proud. Like some of our stores ran 30% food costs, 28% labor costs, 25% bar costs. So our costs were in line for the most part, especially when the sales were there. And GMs did a great job. But what happens in restaurants, right? The outside pressures, the commodities prices increases, the pandemic, so many things occur that squeeze that margins down. So you could protect it with cost, but there's a slippery slope because people aren't going to pay so much. But how it applies to your business? What are our takeaways? Takeaways is first, do you have a strategic plan in your business? Do you have a vision? Do you have a budget set up? Is your mission, vision, value stated? And in practice, daily, do you have a budget on where you're projecting sales from? And are you looking at those numbers and making real time decisions based on what those numbers are telling you? As a CEO, I think the most effective CEOs, they make very practical decisions that are based off of metrics. And if you can measure it, you can manage it. So for you, if you're a CEO, if you're owner of a business, it's very important that you write down your metrics, figure out what exactly they need to be, and then obviously you can manage that successfully. And when you talk about actions that matter, daily you can look at those and adjust accordingly to make sure that you're profitable inside your business. So I hope this was made a lot of sense. If not, definitely ask questions in the chat and I will get back to you. And if you want more help, I have a playbook, free PDF guide where I show you 5 ways that you can bulletproof your small business. Again, talking about your building your foundation, establishing KPIs, and then driving sales. And I'll walk you through all that in the PDF. So if you want the 5 plays, please type 5 plays inside of the chat, and I'll make sure I shoot it over to you. And if you have any other questions as it pertains to business, being a CEO, being a champion, type them in the chat as well. And then I definitely will be in touch soon. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. And if you want me to go live more and share information with you, let me get a hell yeah. And I do my best to kind of come in and kind of talk to y'all. All right. Have a great day, man. Go out there, win a day. It's about 3 o'clock. I got a couple more hours in to put in to finish my day strong. And I'm holla at y'all here soon. All right. Y'all take care.